What's going on, everybody? GemMint here. With Avengers Secret Wars slated to round out Phase 6, I thought it would be a good time to revisit a classic, the first Marvel event, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars, and more specifically, the Omnibus. Now, this thing has been out of print since I bought it, and I've had it for years. And I don't really keep up with reprints and dates because if I already have the book, I'm not looking to buy it again. But I did do a quick Amazon search, and it looks like there is a reprint coming out December of this year. So hold off and don't overpay on eBay and just get it for 50% off cover price when it comes out. I did already review Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars a few years back, so you can go in and check on that if you'd like. With that out the way, let's get into the Omni. Alright guys, so here is the dust jacket, beautiful artwork, Mike Zeck, the original cover for issue 1. I like how they edited the price tag to reflect the price of the Omnibus with $99.99. This also did come in an Alex Ross variant, which is very nice as well. Take a look at the spine here. Old school Marvel Secret Wars, Jim Shooter, Mike Zeck. And then here we have the back, and you can see that it collects the 12-issue miniseries. Plus it has a Mighty Thor tie-in, a She-Hulk modern issue that really retells the origin of Titania, and you have 2 what-if issues as well. The inside of the dust jacket gives us a biography on the story and the creators as well. And in old school Marvel Omnibus fashion, you have this black book with the silver embossed text and logos, same with the spine. So this book is pretty cool, man. It actually has some nice bonus features, which we'll get to in just a moment. Here's the cover page. Here are the credits and all the creators. Table of contents with the iconic Secret Wars 8 cover here. The introduction by Tom DeFalco, it talks about how this story came about by wanting to create a toy line to compete with the dreaded competition, DC, basically. So they actually touch and expound on this a lot more at the end. And honestly, I think I might do a whole video talking about how Secret Wars came from Marvel wanting to get in the toy biz. No pun intended. The prologue is really cool. So it takes panels from issues that came out before Secret Wars, kind of, you know, Spider-Man's Spidey sense, letting him know something is coming. Same with a Fantastic Four issue and an Avengers issue and X-Men as well. So from X-Men 180, just letting everybody know that something is brewing in the Marvel Universe, which is the Beyonder, who is responsible for taking our heroes and villains and putting them on Battle World. I love how each issue does show the full cover, and then, like I said, jumping into issue 1 here, it just starts right away with all of the heroes, and I like how they have so many characters on the page here, transported from Earth, and then it just breaks down who everybody is, from the heroes and the villains. So Battle World is a planet that is comprised of pieces of thousands of planets. There is a piece of Earth there, which is Denver, Colorado, and then other planets which even have civilizations on them. So the Beyonder, who we don't ever see in this whole series, reaches out and basically tells both sides, if you defeat your enemies, I'll grant you whatever wish you want. I am the Beyonder from beyond this universe. And that's what causes this war and pits the heroes against the villains. What's cool is right away Galactus just straight beelines right for the Beyonder to attack him, which he fails to do, and he gets shot down. And then we have all of our heroes. You have the Avengers, you have the X-Men, you have Hulk, you have Iron Man, who's actually James Rhodey, who is the War Machine. He is actually Iron Man at this time. And then you have Magneto, who's always kind of like, yeah, he's a villain, but he doesn't really do villainous things for personal gain, which is why he kind of ends up on the hero's side here, or I guess the X-Men side, you should say. What's funny is I see this panel a lot online, and it kind of makes you think that Doom destroyed Galactus, which he didn't. The Beyonder is what did this to Galactus, and then Doom finds him and then walks in one of these buildings that are on the planet here. Makes it Doom's headquarters. Here's the end of issue 1, and it's unfortunate for Kang. He really doesn't do much in this entire series. Neither does the Lizard until maybe a little bit more towards the end. But I thought that was pretty funny. Issue 2, I mean, the whole series has great artwork, great covers, great splash pages. Here is the villains attacking the heroes off guard, basically laying them all out. Galactus reviving himself, and I like how Galactus doesn't even pay attention to anybody for the majority of this book. You know, he's above them. They're like gnats to Galactus. Now, since they're transported to Battle World, they've been kind of I don't want to say enhanced, but brought to their full potential. Like Professor X is able to walk, which makes him take on that leadership role, which kind of causes a rift between him and Storm. Storm is upset during this whole book. I don't know, I kind of feel like that relationship is kind of awkward in Secret Wars. But each side finds their own headquarters. They have their home base, which they all retreat to, and they plan to, obviously the villains want to destroy the heroes, but the heroes are trying to figure out how to get out of here, how to get back home. The Wasp is written so terribly in here. She's very bougie, she's very vain, and she actually gets killed for a little bit in this series, which we'll get to in a moment. Also, Battleworld changes the Thing. He's able to transform back and forth from Ben Grimm to the Thing, kind of like how Human Torch does, although he can't control it until later on here. On to issue 3 here, The Crisis Within. So the Wasp and Magneto have this kind of weird relationship that's going on here. They almost become an item, which we later find out is just her trying to figure out what his plan is. The Avengers, mainly Captain America, keeping an eye on everything that's going on here. What's Galactus got going on? What's going on at the villains HQ? What is Thor doing? Spider-Man acting a little bit out of character here as well. He ends up running through like the whole X-Men team successfully as well. Dr. Doom plays a major role throughout this story. He tries to recruit Magneto early on, but Doom wants the Beyonders' power for himself. He's thinking, if there's something out there this powerful, I got to take him down. And he actually grabs 2 women from the chunk of Denver, Colorado that was created as part of Battleworld, and he creates 2 new characters, essentially, Titania and Volcana, who are friends that get transformed into these villains. So 2 new characters, 2 new first appearances here, which would be the first of a few in this mini-series. Titania ends up getting into a relationship with the Absorbing Man, and very early on, some of the villains get captured. The Wrecking Crew, Kang, who I said is like basically useless here. Enchantress gets captured as well, but she ends up getting free. Now during this time, it's almost like we have Professor Hulk. He's Hulk, but he's got the mind of Bruce Banner. Molecule Man ends up playing a huge role here. He's like this dweeby kind of nerd, but he's really one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful beings here, because he can control all molecules except living ones. Kind of thought it was funny that Dr. Octopus was here. That doesn't really seem to fit, which leads us to issue 4, one of the most iconic covers for me. I really dug the cover here, and we see what the original cover looked like in the bonus material here, which is cool. But what that is a mountain range that gets dropped onto the heroes. Here it is right here. The Molecule Man, like I said, he can move molecules, so he's able to move that entire mountain range and trap all of the heroes under it, except for Thor, which is why they include that Thor backup here, and we'll get to that a little bit later. As you can see, he's here with Enchantress, and then he takes on all of the villains by himself. Now, Dr. Doom has equipped Ultron with upgraded weaponry, which seemingly destroys Thor, which upsets the Enchantress. She's kind of got a thing for him, but right here they kind of tease that Thor really isn't dead. Then under that mountain range, we have, from what we see on the cover, all of the heroes under this mountain range being held up by the Hulk. Pretty crazy, but Reed Richards assembles this weapon based off of the technology that they have, whether it's Spider-Man's web shooters or whatever they have there, to improve on Iron Man's armor to let them blast out of that mountain range. So I mentioned that Battleworld was comprised of other planets, right? So there's this alien civilization here, and they have this healer. Now her name, we'll have to see when it comes up in just a bit. I forget how you pronounce it, but she falls in love with Johnny Storm, and Colossus ends up falling in love with her. It's kind of a crazy love triangle that goes on here. On to issue 5, the X-Men Strike Back. So they kind of been laying low the whole time. They weren't really on board with joining with the Avengers and following Captain America. They kind of fell back a little bit until this issue. Galactus ends up summoning his spaceship, which is described as being as large as a solar system. I think that's kind of crazy, man. But there it is. It's kind of that, I forget what that shape is called. But he summons his ship because he's going to try to devour Battleworld. So here's the healer healing Johnny Storm, and they end up sharing memories with each other when she goes through this process of inhaling this smoke. I don't know what they're smoking on. Sanjay, I think her name is. Saji, right, that's what it is. And the whole time, Colossus, he's always brooding over somebody. It's Kitty Pryde, who he's in a relationship with, and she's back home, but he ends up falling in love with Saji. But we come to find out it's really a result of her healing powers. Volcana here ends up falling in love with the nerdy Molecule Man, and that's kind of an interesting team up. Reed Richards trying to get Galactus's attention. He gets his attention all right, but it just results in him being zapped by the power cosmic and getting shot down to the ground. Then we have another big battle between the villains and the heroes, and a lot of the heroes get wounded throughout these battles. Rogue gets injured, Colossus gets injured here, which is how he gets brought to Saji the healer. This is when he begins to fall in love, but he's jealous that she's in love with Johnny Storm. We're halfway through here, issue 6. I love how all of them have so much going on the covers here. Here's the Wasp. She ends up flying around and runs into the Lizard, who I forgot was even a part of this at this point. He's just chilling in this swamp type environment, and they end up kind of connecting, and with Claw. So Claw has been found to be stuck within the walls of Galactus's ship because he's made up of sound. So Doom finds the Claw, who has since gone insane, which is funny because that's kind of what like bridges that gap between him and the Lizard. But Doom uses him to essentially take down Beyonder, which we'll see in a moment here. Well, we won't really see it. We never even see the Beyonder in this whole series. That all happens off screen, which I thought was kind of odd. Here we have Storm, like I said, kind of arguing with Professor X. He's acting a little out of character. She's not really being that reasonable either. And just another example of Colossus falling in love with Saji, but Human Torch just sweeping her off her feet, and she's all about it, man. Like, they're actually a thing. But Torch doesn't really take her seriously. He's just looking at it like the only chick that's available out there. Wolverine doesn't really get much play in this entire series. None of the X-Men really do. Wolverine just has one pretty significant event happen, which I don't think we've gotten to yet. But he basically cuts off the Absorbing Man's arm while he's in one of his rock forms. Here we got issue 7, classic Cap cover. And then we get the first appearance of another new character. It's the second Spider-Woman, Julia Carpenter, which we don't really understand who she is or where she comes from in this story, which is pretty cool that we have the backup, that Dan Slott She-Hulk issue. But she was basically a crime fighter in Denver when Denver got ripped from Earth and, like I said, was pulled in by the Beyonder to help create Battleworld. So the Wasp gets killed by the villains, and it's so crazy how they take her dead body, run up on the heroes, and just straight fling her lifeless body onto the ground. Saji tries to heal her, but she can't, so we deal with a serious death of a founding Avenger in Secret Wars. It's kind of like pretty serious and heavy. Here's that scene with Wolverine. Like I said, the only kind of like damage he really does, and he cuts off Absorbing Man's arm here. So it's finally a battle where the heroes win. They don't get beat up because they actually fight as a team for once. Absorbing Man was able to get his arm reattached again. And here's that classic Titania jump kick at She-Hulk. She becomes a antagonist against She-Hulk for years to come. Here's Doom returning from being flung from Galactus' ship. He's done for. This scene is pretty brutal too. Almost all of the villains beating down on She-Hulk all at once, which we'll see again in that Dan Slott She-Hulk issue. Now, even though the Wasp has been killed and everybody's upset and distraught, Captain America wants everybody to hold off until finally now. Now, he gives the word to go attack those butchers who killed the Wasp. Leading us to Secret Wars 8, the most notable key issue out of this run, where we get the black suit, which really only happens for a little bit at the end. It's almost like a cameo. Here goes the meeting of Lizard and Claw, who become these unlikely friends. More battle stuff happening. Doc Ock pouring water on the Torch. Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau, gets essentially killed here as well. Absorbing Man versus Thing, the Thing losing his rock powers. Enchantress does her thing on the Hulk to put him out of commission. She tries it on Cap unsuccessfully. His will is too strong. You got Spider-Man taking down Titania here. And he actually goes pretty hard too, man. Like, he's really doing a number on her. That's kind of like the theme with Titania. She's super strong, but she keeps getting defeated time and time again. Ultron, for the majority of this issue, is just Doom's bodyguard. He gets destroyed early on, and Doom kind of reprograms him to, like I said, just be his guard dog. So we learned the reason why Saji was so fatigued to the point of death was that she used all of her life force to bring back the Wasp. So not that big of a deal. Wasp comes back to life. Here's a little shot of Iron Man, and this is the first time that anyone around him knows for sure that it's not Tony Stark. They kind of had their suspicions just by the way he was talking and everything. And then Spider-Man, he sees Thor get a costume change. They just tell him, hey, back there's a room that repairs your costumes. Spider-Man goes to the wrong machine where the symbiote was being housed, and we all know how that story goes. Bringing us to issue 9. At this point, Reed Richards comes up with the idea that we have to let Galactus win. That's how we're going to win. If he drains Battleworld and destroys Battleworld, then he'll win, and his wish from the Beyonder would obviously be to not be hungry anymore, meaning he won't destroy planets and it'll save, countless lives. Now, not everybody is with that, because that, means that everybody will be sacrificed. All of the heroes and villains on Battleworld will be dead if that happens. So that plan ultimately doesn't come to fruition, and they end up wanting to just attack Galactus head on. Now here's Doom. He dissects and breaks down the claw into like slices of sound, and that's how he's able to defeat Beyonder. Here we have everybody working as a team to attack Galactus, like I said, so that they don't have him destroy the planet. Galactus then devours his ship in order to gain the energy that he needs to devour the planet, so sacrificing a solar system sized ship. But Doom steals that power cosmic from Galactus. So that's the power cosmic. Instead of going to Galactus, it goes to Doom, and Doom becomes godlike. He becomes omnipotent, omniscient, all of that stuff. Gets a little bit of a costume change as well, from his traditional garb to this newer look here. This is where Doom approaches the Beyonder, and he successfully defeats the Beyonder, becoming the most powerful being in the universe. And this is where he visits the heroes. At first he's huge, then he shrinks down to their size to kind of let them know, hey, everything's all good, the war is over, he's been repaired and fixed, which is kind of a telltale that he's still that vain Victor Von Doom that he's always been. Molecule Man then decides to take Denver, put a glass globe over it, and try to travel back to Earth, which is, at this point, is millions of light years away. Now something comes and starts possessing people, right? So the Hulk gets possessed, Spider-Woman gets possessed, and we find out later on that that's the essence of the Beyonder. Doom has now erected this Doom Tower, which is 200 miles high. He summons all the heroes to come visit him. Colossus figures this is his last chance with Saji and professes his love. Although she doesn't speak the same language, she kind of gets it, and they do kind of fall in love here, even though Colossus is spoken for back at home. So what are you going to do? So this is where the heroes vote unanimously that, nah, we're not going to be able to trust Doom. We got to take the fight to him. He could destroy us in an instant with just a thought, and that's exactly what happens at the end of this issue. He does destroy all the heroes here, leading to the last issue of Secret Wars after the Big Bang. Doom victorious. Endgame must have borrowed from this, because you have the broken Captain America shield. Saji and her civilization see what has happened here. The villains are still alive, right? They're in Colorado, they're in space, they're in Titania or Volcana's apartment with no power or anything like that. So Claw talks Doom into giving him a little bit of the power, just a fraction of it, so that he can help him keep it in check and keep it in line. He's able to now use sound to actually show projections of what is going on with all the heroes, and that's where we find out how Colossus, turning into his metal form at the last moment, was able to rescue Mr. Fantastic, and then he was able to essentially bring all the heroes back to life. And that's when the heroes come crashing through the door to attack Doom. Actually, this is where Doom gives him a little part of the power. So the Beyonder, the essence of him within the Claw, gets him to share the power and conjures up all these monsters and creatures that they have to fight. Captain America rushing in for one last battle with Doom. The Beyonder then, his essence, leaves Claw, takes the rest of the power from Doom, rendering him back to normal, going back to his old costume, atomizing him as well as what it looks like, which leads to the end. It's kind of like an abrupt ending. The Beyonder goes back to the Beyond. We never see who he is. We don't learn anything about him in this story. The only really casualty is Saji, the healer, and our heroes have to find a way to get back home. Everybody returns at the last moment, even Kurt Connors, who was the Lizard the whole time, Lockheed, who's been gone the entire time as well ever since issue 1. Reed Richards figures out a way to get everybody home, and really what happens is, since they technically won, all of their will and ambition comes to life. Like, they're able to wish the shield back to normal. They're able to wish a way to get back home, save for the Thing. The Thing actually stays back because now he's able to control the change, and that leads into the Thing miniseries where this ends, which is kind of weird. Like, this whole thing comes to this climax to where Ben Grimm stays on Battleworld, and then he has his miniseries. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's what's explained here in the epilogue, like what happens after here, leading into Secret Wars 2. The Thor tie-in is basically Enchantress talking to her sister about love and what happened between her and Thor when everybody was under that mountain range, but Thor was with the Enchantress. So she's just telling this story of what happened between them and how she tried to make Thor fall in love with her using sorcery, trying to get him to kiss her, but he doesn't do it. Not really a necessary tie-in, but it kind of just tells you where Thor was during those events. The She-Hulk issue by Dan Slott really makes me want to read his run, man. I really enjoyed this modern take, going back to Secret Wars, explaining who Skeeter was, which is short for mosquito, and how she was bullied and why she chose to become Titania and why there's such a rift between her and She-Hulk. Like you can see, a more modern story with modern art, so I really enjoyed that kind of retelling and explanation of her origin. They do a long recap here of the events of Secret Wars, even leading into the Venom stuff. But what's really cool about this is that, you know, you have this evil version of Spider-Man, but it's really the symbiote, and he sucks and drains Peter Parker's life force to the brink of death, bonds with Hulk. This has got to be the first time we get Venom Hulk. And then once he's done with the Hulk, he ends up bonding with the next most powerful being, which is Thor. So not only do we get Venom Hulk in this issue, we also get a symbiote version of Thor, which is super dope. The other what if is, what if they never left Battleworld? What if they were unable to go back home and 25 years later, they all had kids with each other? So you have this whole new generation of heroes, which is a pretty cool thing to see. You have Victor Von Doom and Enchantress' son. You have Wolverine and Storm, who had a daughter together. And basically everyone's living in peace and harmony, except for Victor Von Doom's son then wants to rule Battleworld, which is kind of dumb because, like, you guys are all just ruling with each other. The Wasp and Johnny Storm have a son together, so it's kind of cool, man. It's a nice little, you know, what if issue. Great bonus material here, right? That intro was enough material for its own video, but then it continues with Marvel's Secret Wars with the toy ads and explaining how this whole thing went down. The two, technically three different series or waves of characters, and how some of them weren't even in Secret Wars. You get all the vehicles and playset box art, all of the character box art, which really makes me want to hit eBay and start buying some of these. Great pencils and inks and different variations of these covers in the back here. The introduction of Spider-Man's new costume, suggesting that it has like a break in the legs here. You got Mike Zeck pencils, a lot of great pencils here, man. Like, so epic to see all of these pages, and then unused covers, which we're going to get to here in just a moment. So here's an unused cover, the Bob Layton Secret Wars 4, where he drew Hulk looking like the Jim Steranko Incredible Hulk Annual 1 cover, and then how he gets direction from the editor to change it up, which he does, and kind of agrees it was for the best. Unused cover for Secret Wars 6 and 7. Here's the original cover for Secret Wars 10 that has more pencil detail than they ended up with. The coloring process kind of didn't need all of that. Here is an old trade paperback Mike Zeck cover. A third printing trade, second printing trade with a updated colorized look at the Mike Zeck art, and then, like I mentioned in the beginning, the classic Alex Ross version. And there we have it, Marvel Superhero Secret Wars. Awesome artwork, epic battles. The story was okay. It does kind of feel like it was created just to sell toys, but so were some of my favorite franchises. Let me know what you think about Secret Wars in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. Stay minty fresh. Peace. This video is brought to you by Ninja Funk. Help save the universe from bad music by picking up a copy from your local comic shop on November 2nd. Check out these amazing variant covers as well. We have two from Tyler Kirkham, one of them being a 1/25 ratio. Tony Fleece with the Stray Dogs 1/10, Kevin Eastman with a 1/100, and Boss Logic with the 1/250. Big shout out to JPG from That Spider-Man Booth, Street Level Hero, and now Ninja Funk.